What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for a late night update for you guys. I'm here with Mr. Brian Daigle. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, brother. I'm very disappointed in Spurs today. No new Thomas Frank material. Deeply devastated, but we move on. I hope you're good, brother, and thanks for having me back on.
I'm doing well, mate. And yeah, I mean, we got the interview, and then the next day we got the behind the scenes. Hopefully we need that Frank fix over the weekend, that's for sure.
Damn right. Bring my birthday in style.
Absolutely. Well, 2 days to go.
2 days and my wedding anniversary, so you should give me a gift for each. So who knows?
I completely agree. Seeing as you are leader of the Frankish cult, then
Damn right.
Definitely get something before anyone else. But look, we've got a couple of news stories to talk about today. First of all, from David Ornstein regarding Antoine Semenyo, and he says that Tottenham have inquired to Bournemouth over Antoine Semenyo. Tottenham possibly appeals to the 25-year-old winger, but the Bournemouth evaluation of the Ghanaian international has been deemed too high, and Spurs, like Manchester United, are not proceeding at present. Bournemouth are set to value Semenyo at around £70 million, which, look, it is a very high fee for Semenyo. He is a player I like. There are other candidates who I prefer to go ahead of him, like a Brian Mbeumo, like a Mohamed Kudus. But what's your thoughts on this one?
Well, first of all, Bournemouth are in a very, very strong position right now, aren't they? They have sold a lot of players. They are cash rich, so to speak. So when it comes to someone like Semenyo, they can say, right, the price is the price, go away if you're not going to come anywhere near. Then you look at it, they don't need to. But after Daniel Levy's video and the statement that we want to challenge and we're going to be making big moves, 20 million, if that's what Frank wants, and you're going to back a manager, yes, let's face it, it is expensive. It is expensive, but if that's what Frank wants, then surely it's got to be, okay, let's see what we can do. Rather than, I understand Daniel Levy haggles all the time, and that's one of the great things he can do. But we're running out of options now, aren't we? You said it's going on and on. It's just moving on from one target to the next by the looks of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if it frustrates me to a certain extent, but then it doesn't frustrate me. Like, it would frustrate me if we wouldn't go up to that price for someone like an Mbeumo, a bit high caliber, like a Mohamed Kudus. So I think Kudus is the perfect fit for us.
Yeah,
I think he's an unbelievable football player. Yes, he hasn't got the same amount of goal contributions as an Mbeumo or a Semenyo, but I just feel like what he'll bring to the team is just something those two players can't. I think as a footballer, I absolutely adore him. With Semenyo, he'd be like third choice on my list, so maybe it is smarter for Spurs to wait around in that aspect to try and get a deal for one of the other ones done beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. If Mbeumo and Kudus are definitely the top two out of the three, and if you can proceed with a deal for them two, then obviously they would be the first choice. But we don't know what's going on with Mbeumo. It keeps changing the story, doesn't it? Right now, I saw where you guys talking about it this morning. And it's just that limbo area, isn't it, where we don't know what's happening and people are wanting some action. Let's just hope Spurs are able to solve that right-wing position.
The reality is, if we want someone of that level, proven, you're going to have to spend that kind of money, aren't you?
Agreed. That's the name. 100%. That is the name of the game right now, isn't it? And if you were going to go for Bournemouth's one, surely if this was the one, you would have made a move before all these other deals were going in. I know Thomas Frank's just come in, but a right winger looked like a key position that we needed. And now obviously all the other clubs have started taking their players, and we're in a position now where Bournemouth don't really need to sell, do they?
Yeah, and they're even kicking their heels in a little bit with Zabriani now. They've rejected a bid from PSG, I think, for 55 million. They're holding out for 65 million for him from PSG, which, they'll get it.
Yeah.
They've sold Kirkes today for 40 million to Liverpool. And they're in no need to sell.
No, they're not. And remember, they got 65 million from us the season before. So Bournemouth, they've got the funds. They're not in a desperate need to sell it. I think it more might be if Semenyo tries and forces a move.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, can you really imagine Bournemouth losing Zabriani, Kirkes, Heiss? They're basically three out of their back four. And
Yep.
then on top of that, their most influential player going forward as well in Semenyo. I mean, they're just completely gutting out their team.
Could have been stripped for parts, like Pochettino, like Liverpool did with Southampton a few years ago when they were just stripped for parts. Let's see what happens.
Mm. Next up, we're going to talk about Manchester United's Alejandro Garnacho. As journalist Sebastian Vidal says that Tottenham have entered the race for Garnacho. Spurs are expected to enter a bidding war for the Manchester United star, who is believed to be worth around £50 million. Do you like Garnacho? Would you take him at Spurs?
Not for £50 million, I wouldn't. I think on his day, he can terrorise people. I think he can be an absolute thorn in people's sides. And he actually started doing that in Bilbao, didn't he? When he came on, he looked the most dangerous player on their team immediately. And he is capable of turning it on. It's just as and when. And again, it's another youngster, isn't it? It's another youngster. Yes, you could say he's got a bit of Premiership experience. I think it's a huge punt to take, isn't it?
You say that if he can do that at 20 years old, 19 years old in the Premier League to Premier League defences, do you not think, like under Thomas Frank, under his kind of guidance and coaching, he can get that consistency out of him?
Well, my trust, my faith and confidence in Frank is 100%. So maybe he could, but with the attitude, and I hear Simeone talk about certain things, those kind of things can't be coached, can they? They're kind of, you've got it. Hopefully being around some other players may be able to influence him or whatever, but that is a huge part on a huge man. I mean, we're talking about Matisse Tell at 30 million or whatever it was. And now we're talking about, like you said, 50 million for, when you look at it as well, especially because people are going to keep saying, well, there's 50 million of the Eze money. For example, there's 50 million that could go towards someone with genuine pedigree, genuine experience. So you got to look at it that way. And I think this might just be a huge stab in the dark. But I would trust Frank to develop him.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't really want Garnacho here. I think it's always a red flag when kind of teams that you're fighting against, want to get rid of a player so bad. Mm-hmm. And look, it's undeniable. The guy's got quality. That's absolutely undeniable. But Frank's no dickheads policy. I think he might fall under that category, to be honest. When you're that age and you're demanding minutes and you're demanding to start, particularly in a cup final, like that is just dickhead behavior to me. Like, you got to know where you are in the stage of your career. When you're 19 years of age, you know, you've got a long future ahead of you and you've got to trust your development and trust in the manager.
Well, I couldn't say it better myself, mate. I really couldn't. And like I said, I mean, the only thing that I could think would maybe if Romero was to stay, then obviously you've got a fellow countryman that could probably whip him into shape and give him that guidance and whatever. But we obviously don't know what's happening there either.
Yeah, well, we're going to get onto that very shortly.
Oh, there you go.
But next up, we're going to talk about Vicario. Just a quick one, as Tom Barkley says that sources at Tottenham have dismissed the suggestion that Spurs goalkeeper Vicario could be sold. Look, me and Sim have spoken about Vicario quite a bit, saying potentially he might not be the right keeper for Frank because of the way he plays the ball out, ball at his feet, not the strongest candidate. And when you look at the keepers that Frank has had, Flecken and David Raya, they've all been very strong in that aspect. But it doesn't surprise me at all that Vicario, we need that leadership in the squad, particularly in his first kind of instances of coming to the club, Thomas Frank. So I think we have to keep him in the club first and foremost. And it's up to Kinski to fight that battle with him.
Correct. Again, people will say, and obviously his distribution is a huge thing. As he's been able to develop goalkeepers, other ones can his staff actually develop his distribution. If you can develop his distribution and get him more confident on the ball, then you've got a supreme goalkeeper in Vicario, a really top-notch goalkeeper. So hopefully the coaching staff can work on that aspect, which I think we've been neglecting, like we did with Lloris. Brilliant shot stopper, incredible until the end, but distribution was a big problem, and hopefully they can work on and focus on that.
Yeah, if only they had a sort of way that we can merge the two keepers. Kinski's playing out the back with Vicario shot stopping. That would be something, wouldn't it?
That'd be perfect. Bang, done. Job done.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, life don't work that way.
Let's talk about Bentancur, as Tom Barkley also says that Spurs want to sign Bentancur to a new contract. However, if they cannot do so, a departure would not be ruled out with Atletico Madrid interested. He's going into the last year of his deal now, next season. We did hear Frank in his first interview clearly name drop Bentancur as one of the players that he's really excited to work with. But that contract hasn't been signed yet, and until that's signed, the question mark's always going to be there, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think what it comes down to is if he doesn't sign the contract, do Spurs say, right, that's it, cash in? Or do they think, let's wait till January, see if we can convince him with the style of football we're playing, make it, and see how vital he is to Thomas Frank during the first part of the season, and then he may put pen to paper then. But it's, again, do Spurs take the risk financially by getting a fee for him now, or that price going at half price, or even signing a pre-contract to go free in the summer? This one is really down to whether Spurs can convince him to stay, isn't it? That's the crooked, the long and short of it. Otherwise, you've got to think Spurs will make the action to get rid of him this summer.
I think. Where's your head at with it? Would you prefer him to stay, or are you happy for him to move on at this point?
I think that he could be a fantastic midfielder. I really do. I think he can be such a good player. But obviously, and if you look at the midfield, it looks like Basuma will be going, doesn't it? Or he looks the favourite one. If we get rid of two midfielders, and you've seen when you've done the how we've got to shape up with the transfers, it just makes more problems than it solves, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, look, anyone that goes out, I mean, it depends what the plan is with Archie Gray. Because if the plan is with Archie Gray to use him as a six or as a midfielder, give him a lot of minutes, put the trust in him like they put the trust in a Basuma and a Bentancur last season, then if you sell those two, one would suffice, wouldn't it? Because if you bring in one and Archie Gray is the other one, look, whether that's good enough, I don't know. But Frank obviously clearly likes Archie Gray. Well, if he's got a plan for him and he plans to use him, then selling two and bringing in one wouldn't be the end of the world.
It would, but then you got to look at it depending on who that one is. If one of them aren't on form or one gets injured, then we're back to a problem where there isn't really any class understudies or position for places to go there. So it's always a worry, isn't it? It's always a worry. But if it was one to go and only one to go, obviously, I think we both agree it'd be Basuma for us.
Yeah, thinking about that, do you not think like Sarr could do that role in a Frank system?
He could, but it's youngsters again, isn't it? It's a team of young Bergvall, Gray, and Sarr. Sarr will be the oldest one, wouldn't he? What's Sarr going to be this year? 23? 22? Like we need some experience. We've been saying we need experience, and getting rid of both Basuma and Bentancur without knowing what's coming in, for me, is a little bit risky.
Yeah, but look, if he doesn't sign the contract this summer, I do think Spurs will try and get rid. Because like the situation that you mentioned before in terms of the squad numbers, the only way it's possible for us to get people in is if people go out the door. So if Bentancur won't sign, so getting him out the door does open up a spot. Yeah,
it does. Like so, it would be the Christian Eriksen saga all over again, wouldn't it? It'd be like, right, we'll try and force him out in January, not force him out, but get him out in January to get some money. But hopefully, if he doesn't sign that contract and we don't get rid, he can see what's going on at Tottenham in the first part of the season and put pen to paper. But that's the risk you run.
Yeah. And last but not least, let's talk about Cuti Romero, as a publication called El Desmarque says that Diego Simeone calls Cuti Romero almost daily, attempting him to convince him to leave Tottenham Hotspur and join Atletico Madrid. Spurs want close to 60 million euros to sell the centre-back this summer. I've got a feeling Levy's just going to want a little bit more than 60 million euros. However, he can call Cuti Romero all he wants. The decision is always going to lie back with Daniel Levy. If you put money on the table, if you put enough money down on the table, Daniel's going to accept that.
Yeah, I was about to say Diego Simeone. I know English may not be your first language or whatever. You are calling the wrong person every single day. It's very nice to have a catch up and whatever. I see how you're doing. You are doing this all wrong, and you should know who you are dealing with. That that is the most pointless phone call. And all you're going to do is get Romero really, really wanting it. But if Daniel Levy says 70 million, it doesn't matter how many. So you can speak to him breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Have a dinner date with Kuti. You're making all the wrong moves in this one. I have to say, Diego, it's funny.
How do you see this one playing out?
I don't know. Do you know what? You just never know. You just never know. I can't see personally the shots that he fired last 2 weeks. Was it last week? It was last week, wasn't it? Last week. I don't see how he can come back from that unless Frank has said to the club, give me a chance to win him over. If he signs a contract, then he stays. Then we'll see. But I can't see how Kuti Romero has a future at Tottenham Hotspur after that statement last week.
You know what? I see it a bit differently, and I think Kuti's going to be here next season.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Yeah, but I just can't see Atletico Madrid putting enough money down on the table for him. Maybe they will. And if they do, he probably will go. But I just don't think they will.
You watch near the end how a special arrangement will come up with another Madrid club and something will get done. I think that is the stumbling block at the moment, isn't it? They cannot raise the money to get him. I think if they could raise it and slap it down, he'd be out of here and we wouldn't even be having this discussion. But Diego, you may want to get your superiors to have a call with the right people at this club to try and get that move done. I would love Romero to stay. I would love him to stay, sign a new contract, and see him and Van der Ven in a much more solid defence with protection and see what they can do. But I just don't see how he can stay.
Let's say Sonny goes this summer and Romero signs that contract. He's the club captain, isn't he?
Yeah, without a doubt. Straight away, immediately, no questions asked.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. That is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All the news stories we brought to you today. Everyone, go and hit that subscribe button on We Are Tottenham TV, but also head over to Tottenham on Tour and smash that subscribe button as well. Thank you for joining me, Brian.
Always a pleasure.
See you all very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.